Okay. Te utu o te haka momori, the price of suicide.
Kei te whare tapu o Ngāpuhi, nau mai, haere mai, tūhono mai ki tēnei wānanga o tātou e kia nei ko uia te pātai. This is what therapy aims to do. Welcome to this podcast of Uia Te Pātai, where we look at the experience of suicide and mental health well-being within our whānau. He uri koe nā rāhiri, mokopuna nāku, nau mai, haere mai. Ke panuku, e ke tangaro, hara mai te toki, haume hui e.
Tai ki e.
Kia koe te tuakana, kia koe Luke. Ko piri mai, ko hau mai ki tēnei wānanga o Uia Te Pātai for coming through to our podcast in this very exciting episode. Thank you for making time for us and to sit with, I think, a very important kaupapa kōrero around our queer community, supporting our queer community, and certainly the mental health issues and progressive suicides that take place inside this community. So I'll leave it for you because you're a man of many words.
Oh, gosh, well, I try.
To let us know who you are, where you're from, and what you're about.
Kia ora. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure to be part of a kapa kingi. Like, hello. But yes, my name is Luke Bird from here in Te Tai Tokedo. Te Uriroroi, Ngati Ueoneone, Ngati Rangi oku hapu, ko Ngāpuhi, Ngati Whatua oku iwi. I grew up in Whangarei. I'm a little Whangarei boy, born and raised, and went to a little quarry school out at South Whangarei called Portland, and 5th generation out there, and then just grew up here as a giant 6'4" sequin colourful exclamation mark right here in the metropolis of the Rei. So, you know, yeah, it's this is who I am.
Yeah. And you are, as you say, a beautiful big man.
I try that as well. I'm 6'4". I'm a long person. I'm a colourful person. I'm Ngāpuhi. I mean, it's hard to do, right? Gosh, people come at you from all sides of the field. But yes, colourful person, always have been. Yeah.
Ka pai. And I might underpin, I guess, our kōrero today, my bro, with I guess a bit about your personal story, your own haringa. One thing I always find real trippy, and one thing I can never really appreciate as a heterosexual man, is like the coming out story. That's something I've never ever had to do. I never had to be like, Mum, Papa, you know, I like girls, I like women.
What?
Yeah. And then they're having a reaction, and then having to, like, you know, respond to all whānau members and their many questions. But so just wherever you want to start on that story, my bro, I think that'll be really insightful to hear.
Well, great little segue there, because I'm an only child, can you tell? I'm an only child. I'm also the oldest mokopuna in our whānau as well. And I was raised by my mum and my grandmother, so my Māori side. So my father was a Pākehā man, and my mum is her parents, Māori and Pākehā. My grandfather on my mum's side, Frank Bird, passed away when I was 8. And my father died when I was 3. So it's always been my mum and my grandmother, and really raised in tikanga Māori, going to the marae, always been raised that you should go to the marae, go to the kitchen, introduce yourself to a tea towel. That's always been the whakaaro when we go. So always been in that sort of village of Māoridom. But I've also known that I'm also a Pākehā boy too, so I like to always say I've got the best of both sides of the treaty. Anyway, growing up was always really colourful. It was super colourful. It was fun. You could do this, do that. I never knew there was such a label about what I'm supposed to be growing up. My first incidence of being bullied was when I was 4 at kindergarten, and I remember wanting to paint my toenails and nails purple and highlighter orange. I can still remember it. And my grandmother, a little Māori, she was like, let's do it. So she painted them, went to kindy, had a great time, and then one person called it out, and I just remember feeling really like, am I bad? Like, is this not cool? So as you get older, and then you start putting all the pieces to the puzzle together, going, some of these pieces aren't quite fitting like they should. Everyone's saying you should look like that. I went to a Catholic school as well, semi-private, so there's always that sort of like angst of being a certain way, and there was no such person when I was growing up on television or magazines of colourfulness and sequins and out the gate fashion. And if they were, you were either outed or it was a story about them. So I never knew there was something wrong with me until I got into my early 20s, and I realised some of my friends were getting having partners or girlfriends, boyfriends, and everyone would ask me, do you have a girlfriend? I'm like, no, I'm not yet. No. Are you gay? I'm not gay. Oh, what is that about? And then it wasn't until I moved to Wellington to do the Phantom of the Opera. And I was 28 years old. So this is a long time. In the Rainbow Takatāpui community, that is like coming out at 80. So I'm 28, I'm in Wellington, and I'm like, I feel my people here. Like, this is where my colour and my culture is in terms of what I am. And I started seeing somebody, and when I started seeing this guy, I wasn't out or anything. People thought I was, dating girls. And then, can you tell? I mean, hello, look at me. And then he dumped me, and it was really bad. And I had nobody to talk to, not one soul about it. And so I remember coming home to Whangarei for a weekend, and I said to my mum, because I was just feeling the pressure. I was like, I'm feeling bad about myself because I haven't sort of agreed to who I am, but I haven't also told people what I am, and I've just been dumped by a person who I thought liked what I am. And so I was feeling all feelings. I was not happy. So I had to tell my mum. I'm going to tell my mum. My mum is my best friend. My grandmother was my best friend. I had to tell them. So I told my mum, and it took me 2.5 hours. And I was trying to get it, trying to twist and turn it. And she was like, what are you trying to tell me, Luke? And I'm like, oh, well, you know how you tell me, do you have a girlfriend? She's like, do you? I'm like, no. But she goes, well, what? I said, but you never asked me if I have a boyfriend. She's like, do you have a boyfriend? I was like, no. And she's like, well, what is it? And I said, well, you didn't ask me if I have a partner. And she's like, do you have a partner? I was like, well, no. But I did. And then I told her, when I told her what happened, she was so, not angry at me, angry at him. And she was like, should I go punch him? Where does he live? What's his iwi? Where's he from? But she's like,
great mum.
Yeah, exactly. But when I said to her, I'm gay. And she was like, is that it? And I was like, what do you mean is that it? She goes, I have missed Coronation Street. I remember this very clearly. She was like, I missed Coronation Street, the late news, and the repeat of Emmerdale for something I've always known. And I'm like, well, are you okay? She goes, I'm great. What's the problem? What's your problem? And I'm like, oh, no. But she goes, you have to tell Grandma. And I was like, oh. So I said, yeah, I'll tell her, because these are the two strongest women in my family. Like, you don't mess with them, but they're also the two women who raised me. So they know me inside and out. And so I said, I'll talk to Grandma. And 2 weeks after that, I was driving her home from Auckland to Whangarei. And we got to just before Waipu. And I said to her, all right, she's in the passenger seat, wrapped in a little blanket. I'm driving the car. And I said, we're going to play a game. And she says, oh, okay. I said, no, that's a 3-letter word that describes Luke as happy. And I thought, come on, girl. You're a girl of the 1940s. It was very common to call your daughter this. And, this is my daughter gay. So, and she's like, oh, okay. And then she goes, all right. Oh, I know this word. And I'm like, just drive the car. Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. And she goes, sun, like the sunshine. I said, no, come on, think. Think really hard.
Good guess.
3 letters describes Luke as happy, and not the happy that we know. Happy, like really bohemian, happy. And then she grabs my left leg, and I'm driving the car, and she goes, oh, no. Absolutely not. And I'm like, oh, no, what have I done? Oh, no. And she goes, I can't say that word. And I said, what do you mean you can't say it? And she goes, no. Are you sure? And I said, yeah, of course, just say it. And then she goes, oh, joy. And I said, no, I'm gay. And she goes, gotcha. And I'm like, what? And she goes, I have known for years. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me? And then she said this, and I remember it very carefully. She said, Kilili, she said, there's no point in someone telling someone what they should believe in if they don't believe it fully themselves. And she said, you just weren't ready to tell. You weren't ready to know who you are.
And it seems like you're the last one to find out.
Exactly. And so my whole thing is that when I came out, it wasn't coming out to everybody. It was actually coming out to myself. Whoa. And as soon as you know who you are, it's like an identity thing, right? As a kid, I mean, I'm a very fair Māori boy. And growing up, I was always surrounded by my Māori-looking cousins. My grandmother had a Māori woman, beautiful Māori nose. And I remember as a kid, and my mum's got one too, all I wanted to do was to press my nose down. I wanted Māori features. We went to all the hui Māori, and I wanted to look Māori. And as a child, when you identify with something, you want to look like it or be like it. So then you are it. It's like a superhero. But as you get older, when you start to believe in and know who you are, you don't need to prove to anybody your identity. So it's the same thing when it coming out as takatāpui. You don't need to prove I'm somebody. You don't need to look at me and go, oh, is he? I just have to know my identity, who I am. As soon as I knew that, everything changed. Everything.
And I just holding thought on that whole coming out process and what that is there a right way to react to someone coming out? Is there things that we should be doing?
Well, that's a really great question, because every whānau is different. Every person is different. It's not my place to tell someone how they should react to anything. But I think as a human being, you should have some common decency to know this is someone's feeling. So if someone's feeling a certain way, like let's say, for instance, you walk in the room and you go, I'm having a real shit day. I'm not going to go to you, ha ha, good job. No, you go, the common decent thing is, what's up? Can I help? So when someone says, hey, I need to talk to you about something, I would expect that whānau, that mum, that dad, grandmother, aunt, auntie, whoever, would sit with that person and go, okay, let's sit with them. I think something's up. I should talk to them and open up to it. I think more people should be open to listening. Listening, people say we listen, we're good at listening. No, not everyone is. People are not all good listeners. If you can sit and actually fully focus on that person's feeling, that ahua about them, and really let them go for it, great. And if you have moments where you have to interject and you're like, hang on, but then you're not listening.
To have that empathy, to sit, to be present, and to hold it, because it is a big thing, and it can come, I guess, with its own types of anxieties and own types of anguishes. Just thinking about, the wider community, what are some of the challenges that the queer community face that you think may contribute to some of these mental health issues, and certainly within the suicide and that?
Well, to be fair, I think a lot of our challenges these days come from a lot of social media, because it never used to be there. So we used to just know that our homosexual whānau were there, our rainbow whānau, our takatāpui whānau were always there. But now social media comes on, people share, people get compared. You compare ourselves to all sorts of fitness, to levels of what we should look like. That brings your morale down. And then you're getting shared things from governments, you're getting shared from right-wing extremists from across the world. It just brings your morale down. So I think a lot of that comes from how we use social media, and also I think a lot of our feelings of being different, like we're a minority. It's like anything in the world. If you're a minority, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it from every which way, whatever. You're going to feel it in poverty. A lot of our takatāpui whānau, especially our whānau who are transitioning, get it the worst you can think of, because one, they're considered to be yuck. You're considered to be a pervert. You're considered to be dirty, unsafe, mentally wrong, just because you're being yourself. Imagine someone telling you, hear me, that because of what you look like and how you are, and that you're a kapakingi, that your authenticity is wrong. That's someone telling you that your mana is wrong and questioning your mana. I have had this argument with someone who is no longer a friend of mine, actually, Māori guy, and he can't understand our trans whānau. Doesn't agree with it, thinks it's yuck, disgusting, shouldn't be in schools, toilets, yada yada. And the only way I could try and find a way for him to think before he vocalized these feelings was like, imagine if someone is coming to you and questioning on your marae your mana. Who are you to question someone's mana? You can look at them and go, I don't agree with what you're doing. I don't have to agree with you either. But when you question someone's mana, that I think you're crossing a big line. Yeah, that's someone's authenticity.
Yeah, it's and because it's so intrinsic, and I think there was the point you were raising around the mapping it onto ethnicity.
100%. Now this year, for our Pride whānau across the country, it's always great to have Pride. People say to me that don't understand Pride, why do you have to have a Pride? Like, why every year do you have to have a Pride festival? And my argument back is this: you should be grateful that you don't have to have one. Imagine that you don't have to have a Pride parade. You can be you every day of the year, 24/7, 365 days of the year. You walk into a room, no one's going to go, oh, is that a puff? No one does that. So imagine a world where you don't have to have a pride. That is the point of having pride. That for 1 week or 1 day or 1 month of the year, you can just celebrate the rainbow for all of its entirety. And this year was a big questionable one because we had a lot of angst from religious groups and some political leaders, but mainly religious groups who try to break that down. And a lot of people came out of the woodwork, all of our allies and our straight whānau, to say, hey, this is wrong. We should be standing up to it and we should be doing this. And I just got over it. I'm over the messages. Are you okay? I saw what they did. Oh, are you safe? Just because it's pride doesn't mean it only happens for 1 month of the year or 1 day of the year. It's
just highlighted that week.
Correct. And so this is how I try to explain to someone. I just said to them, imagine if homosexuality, takatāpuitanga, the rainbow was all about being an ethnicity. Imagine if it was coming out as Māori. Imagine you going home to mum and dad and there was no such word as gay, lesbian, rainbow, takatāpui. The word was straight. And you and Māori. You get home and you go to your mum and dad, Mum, Dad, I need to tell you something. And they're like, oh no, what? And I'm like, I don't know how I can tell you this. I'm Māori. Oh, anything but Māori. Oh no, you pack your bags and you get out of my house. Oh no, what are people going to think? Imagine that, if that was the daily occurrence when you get home to mum and dad, or you go see your koro or your nan and you tell your nan, I'm Māori, and they look at you with yuck and with disgust. Imagine that. That is what it's like being takatāpui, trans, gay, lesbian, bi. That. Turn it on its head as an ethnicity and you'll get more of an understanding of what it feels like every day. Every single day.
Yeah, and like I have to commend the resilience or the strength you have to carry within inside a queer community because of the daily interactions you have to either justify or educate, you have to validate or push back on. But I can also imagine the amount of weight and anguish and mental hardship you have to face. What's that like, trying to deal with all the weight of it, and because I imagine in some cases it gets so heavy, our queer whānau turn to suicide as an option, which is devastating.
Yes, just this past week in Tamaki Makaurau, there has been 3 people I've heard of that have taken their life, all in their mid-30s, all male, or takatāpui. That's just such a waste. But we don't hear about it, we don't talk about it. And then for one of the stories that I heard about was that, his family didn't know, so they're trying to keep it really quiet. Why keep it quiet? That's the first problem in the first place. And there's a lot of pressure for some reason in a small country like ours that say we're accepting of all people, we love diversity, we're clean, green, New Zealand, Aotearoa, rah, rah, rah. Yet we still point the finger at people for being their true selves. And so that causes a lot of heaviness. It's a yuck feeling. Imagine walking around all day with like this heavy little cloud on your shoulder, and every time you go to sort of be yourself, it just rains on you. It just pours down on you. People send you messages from governments and political leaders, and even our own Māori leaders, some of our own Māori whānau, who will say, this is wrong. My thing, especially for takatāpui, is I've always been told, remember you are Māori first and foremost. Takatāpuitanga is about embracing the umbrella of the femininity and the masculinity coming together. And you should be, I was always told this by my grandmother, you are special because you can connect to both worlds. So if we were to sort of say you're Māori first, it takes away a lot of that sort of pressure of going, well, yeah, if takatāpui is part of Māoridom and I'm Māori first before it becomes all the legal, the law, the religious stuff, then it sort of does help. But what does help to take off that pressure is our allies. I cannot stress that enough. Allyship is one of the biggest supports you would have as being a rainbow person. And I encourage anyone that says they're an ally to actually look yourself in the mirror first and say, what kind of allyship do I bring to my takatāpui whānau? It's all very well to say, I'm there for you, bro. Oh yeah, I've got you. Show up. Turn up to a pride march. Turn up to a bottomless drag brunch. Turn up to my friend's birthday who wants to go to a drag show. Just turn up, or just turn up and say, "Hey, bro, I've got you. Let's go for lunch and let's talk." That is the issue I think when you say that's that heavy stuff and things that are happening. look at yourself first as an ally and go, what am I actually doing and contributing to my rainbow whānau?
Yeah, just on that note around, I had a bro come out quite recently about coming out as gay, and the change in attitude, the change in behavior from his circle of bros was really like a contrast. Like, like I can't really do that with him anymore because he's gay. And I was like, oh, what is that, bro?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really like questioning it. And then to come back to your point around allyship, which I think is what I remember being taught inside our gender affirming class for Clin Psych, was allyship is sometimes standing in front to protect, sometimes standing aside to support. And sometimes standing at the back to motivate, to push.
Absolutely.
And be quiet.
Yes. But the one thing that you've probably learnt with that is that being an ally doesn't mean you are not present. You have to be present. It's that part. Like, I remember actually this year, I think your brother Eru put out a post during the march when the whole religious crap happened, and he said, put a post out saying to people, this is not cool, like we need to do more, and I feel like I should do more. I didn't realize I wasn't doing enough. And I remember putting a comment there, and it just blew up saying, just show up, like we love what you're doing, but just show up or call people out. If you know it's wrong, it's wrong. We do this too in Māoridom. We will call out governments, we will call out political leaders, we will call out racist behaviour, but there's only a few people within our Māori leaders who will call out discrimination against our takatāpui whānau. It's all very well to say it, but show up, because presence is a big thing. It's power. It's knowledge is power, presence is powerful.
And it is at that point around being present and being vocal, because I'll be more than vocal, being in action, showing up for all those different spaces.
Yeah.
Similarly, like if it's Toitu Te Tiriti, if it's free Palestine, you can share as many posts as you like.
Yes.
But if you're not actually at those kaupapa,
Correct.
supporting and contributing in an effective way, then it's all just lip service. And it's all kind of distance. And another action, I attended Huitani earlier this month, and we were talking about like toxic masculinity and this and Tani, and I was like, oh, here's one for us, bros. The way we treat our queer communities, like the way where we use, like if you're in your circles of bros and you use the FAG word, if you use the word, all these, if you have adverse attitudes towards a queer community, you find out someone's coming out and you treat them in a different way, those things are not only devastating to our whānau, but they're our queer whānau, but they're also devastating to our own relationship with ourselves.
Correct.
In terms of this masculinity and femininity, which is another part. And that's a real superpower as you put it around what the queer community has, because you can touch on both
Absolutely.
so easily. You have such a rounded way of approaching life, and that's one thing I've always just found quite iconic around the quear community and that whole approach.
Well, you would hope more people did, because we're not a germ, we're not a bug, we're just a human being paying our taxes like everybody else. But we are just a colourful group of people. The other day I was driving to Tamaki Makaurau and just coming over through the kaipara, and there was this massive rainbow. Now, someone said to me at my gym, the owner of my gym a couple of years ago, why is there a rainbow flag? And I said, well, the only reason I can think of at the time was that when you drive past a rainbow, you don't go, oh, a rainbow. You're instantly made to feel good. Uplifted. It's colourful. They only come out, it's a rarity to see one. So when you see someone that is rainbow in your community, or who is authentic about being their true rainbow self, that's a powerful thing to have them part of your community. I always say to people, embrace it. We're the first people to, a lot of our rainbow community, the older ones, are business people, or they've been around since the homosexual law reform. Talk to them, get to know them. They've got some powerful kōrero there about being a good person, and they've been through the barricades for us to be who we are today. Yes, we've got issues, social issues. Yes, we've got government law, policies, crap that now is becoming very extremist. But if you talk to those who have been there when it happened back in the 80s and the AIDS pandemic, they're people to really hone in on some skills and go, wow, you've been through that, so I can still sit here today and have a cup of coffee freely without being arrested for it. So there's always these different sides. There's lots of positives, there's also lots of negatives, but there's always a middle to sort of come to.
And with the suicide you had mentioned around those three tani, the three gay tani, is the experience of mental illness and suicide for the takatāpui community different for the heterosexual community? Do you think there is a difference?
Well, personally, I will probably have to say yes, because a lot of it will come from you're being discriminated against just for being yourself. You're being told that your mana is gross, and you're also being segregated almost from your people who you would expect to have your back. Not to say that doesn't happen with our heterosexual whānau, but I mean,
in a different way.
In a different way, yeah. So I mean, I've had a friend of mine who got sent a letter from his mum and dad, who they were super close, to say you need to have a whānau meeting, and he came to the family meeting. Oh, what's it? You know, maybe it's a big thing about business or we're, whatever, and it was an intervention for him. He has to stop being gay, otherwise he can't see his nieces and nephews. Now, imagine what that would do. I don't know how this works in the heterosexual world, but imagine if you were heterosexual coming home and you got a letter.
I feel so betrayed. You
would say very betrayed. It's a betrayal. You feel like your loyalty within who you're supposed to trust and has got your back is gone. And that took a long time for him to even create a relationship with them. So there is some differences, but we just don't sort of hone in on that as much, I don't think.
And then... And I guess, thinking about what that would have done with your friend and thinking about all other queer experiences, what would be some cordial you would give to those members to be like, hey, I know you're going through it, but what could you provide as support?
Well, there is that whole saying in the takatāpui rainbow community that you have a chosen family. And I never used to think that was a thing. I thought, no, my family's got my back. And until recently, I realized a lot of my own family don't. And there's that saying that blood is thicker than water. Well, and family is, first. Well, yes, it is thicker, but in saying that too, there's also people out there who I have chosen as my chosen family who I don't even have to question. I don't have to do anything different for them to...
Don't have to explain.
No, there's no... I hate the thing when someone goes to me, look, we will tolerate it. No. You don't tolerate me. Don't you dare tolerate me. I'm not here to be tolerated. I am Luke Bird. I am myself. If you don't like it, that's not my problem. I don't have to like you either. So if you're not my people, all good. Go and do your own thing over there. But I would say to those people, find your chosen family. Your family will always be your family, but your chosen family will have you no matter what. They've got your back no matter what happens to you. They will always be there. It's a hard thing. It's an easy thing to say, hard thing to do. Because you want that loyalty from your own, but you also will find that some of them won't have it. They'll say they do, they just don't have it.
Yeah, and that's... I think going back to the point around having to explain yourself or justify yourself... I'm
over it.
Yeah,
honestly, it's exhausting.
Yeah, and as a Māori man, you have to do it. Like when you have to talk about the tiriti waitangi, as a gay man, you have to do it when you talk about your love, the type of love that you have. And I can speak from a Māori, as a Māori perspective. It's like someone comes in, starts questioning their tiriti. I'm immediately frustrated. I'm immediately infuriated by the question, but I have to hold my anger.
Correct.
And now I have to educate. I have to educate this person about the context, the history behind it.
Yes.
Is that a similar experience when you're having to hear someone's in kind of ignorance around gay, around queer, around takatāpui community, and then now I've got to sit here and teach you?
Yes, I mean, try being a Pākehā Māori boy that is also now gay. A Pākehā Māori boy, gay, only child, oldest grandchild. I find that hard. I'm either not Pākehā enough for some of my Pākehā whānau, I'm not Māori enough for some of my Māori whānau, or I'm too much of the other for every side. And then you happen to be gay as well. Yeah. And the example I can give is actually one of my gym friends who... I've known him since I've been going to the same gym for like 12 years. And only 2 years ago, he said to me, I've really just realised in the last 2 years that I'm no longer homophobic. And I'm like, pardon? And he goes, yeah, no, I'm not homophobic anymore because I just wasn't sure. And I'm like, you're trying to tell me for the last 10 years I've been coming here, you have been frightened for your life of Luke Bird. Like when I walk in the room, you are frightened. And he's like, nah. I'm like, well, that is what a phobia is. When you are claustrophobic, you are frightened for your life of small spaces.
Irrational fear.
Correct. So I said, you're trying to tell me that you're frightened. He goes, oh, no. I said, well, you're not homophobic. You're uneducated. There's a difference. And now he's like, right, he's not into the whole parade and stuff, but he's into like, I've got you, you're my friend, I'm your ally. And I think if you can have those little nuances with people where they will slowly come out of the woodwork and go, actually, you know what? didn't know what I was doing. Really, I was wrong. I was uneducated. Back to your point about when someone comes in with the treaty and stuff like that and they talk about it, you're like, oh, hold my tongue, right my tongue. Same with the rainbow community, like my friend who wanted to question someone's mana. So when I'm all about perspective. I think it's great to have perspective and listen to people's perspective. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but at least you get an understanding. And that's when you have the opportunity to go, well, actually, what is your understanding of this? Well, I can help you educate on that. You can help me. I don't like it, though, when people go, rah, and then you go, rah, and there's no solution. What's the point?
No progress.
No progress. You just made it worse. Yeah, so there's definitely... There's always room, but there seems to be, for some reason, I feel like the cup is getting less and less and less full of positives, especially here in Aotearoa with the takatāpui whānau.
Yeah, and I think that's a point you touched on around several farewells you've attended. You've attended, and whānau moving away, our takatāpui whānau moving away because it's unbearable. I can't stand it here.
Well, like... I came out 12 years ago. Gosh, who would have thought? And then coming out,
you come out?
Yeah, you don't have a coming out party like you said earlier. Like you don't go, Mum, Dad, I'm straight. Oh, let's have a party for him. But when I came out, everyone's like, oh, New Zealand, it's a really great place for rainbow. It's very accepting, and you believe it because that's what you've been told. And then you start getting into it, and you're like, hang on, a lot of the cracks are appearing here, and we've got a lot of social problems here with our rainbow community. Our trans community are getting it from everybody, and then it just builds and builds and builds and builds. And so as you get older and you start going, we're a country of 5 million people. Our
this camera's popped off. Yeah.
Oh, should I push it?
Was it the top one or the bottom one?
Top one.
Top one.
If I'm talking too much, you just say, stop, Luke.
No.
Carry on?
Yeah.
When you start getting older and you start thinking, we're a country of 5 million, you think, actually, it's very small. It starts to become and feel small. And then you become somebody. And then within my community, I'm a somebody. I'm known as someone who's respected.
Tell us your title.
Well, I'm Mr. B in New Zealand, which I didn't realise it was a thing until I won it. And then you go across the country, across to Australia for things, and there's photo shoots, and you're holding babies, you're cutting ribbons.
Basically a president.
It's pretty big. I'm like, wow. But then just within your own community of the rainbow community, people respect you because you're a good person, and they can come to you and feel safe. But that's where it ends. It's a very small culture here of rainbow, and a lot of people feel isolated, and you feel there's cliques, and it's just very narrow. And then you get it from governments and from leaders and religious groups, even from my own peers, and it becomes very, very, very narrow, and you feel really stuck, and you feel like it's, where else can you go?
To be who you are, right?
To be who you are. You can be who you are here in Aotearoa, absolutely. But I feel it as a person who I feel like I'm getting to the part where I go, oh, what else is there for the rainbow community here? You start dipping overseas, and you start feeling that. And that's when over there, and especially in Australia, massive. You've got Melbourne, 5 million, Sydney, 5 million. You've got Brisbane, just under 3 million people. So there's more of that pull for you to feel seen over there. Every fortnight, there's almost like two farewells for people moving to Melbourne and Sydney, especially in the rainbow community, just because they've had enough. They're getting it from people. The work's not great. Governments are saying you're wrong. They're trying to ban a pride flag, for goodness sake. How does a pride flag stop poverty? How does it stop...
How to create education, create job opportunities.
Exactly. But they're going to put a bill in to try and stop that. All that says to my community is, we're trying to get rid of you. We're trying to stop you from being seen. So if you're going to feel like you're not being seen, you're going to go somewhere else. That will say, hey, we're keen to have you here. Why would you want to stay? Imagine though, let's bring it back to ethnicity. It's the same thing happening with Māoridom. They're trying to eliminate things for Māori, or pull funding and pull this and scrap that. And you feel it as a person. You feel it as an Indigenous person, but you feel it just as a human going, why are you trying to pull me down? They're trying to stop you from being seen. So if you turn it into ethnicity, it's the same thing. It all applies.
Exactly. And like we can all speak on like times where we stepped into a room and like no one's acknowledged us. That sucks. That's
yuck.
absolutely, you feel so unseen, you
Yes.
feel so unacknowledged. And then you walk away feeling, you know, less about yourself. You feel like,
Yes.
is my self-worth, am I worthy
Yes.
of being recognized? And I can only imagine the national scale, the life scale that is for our takatāpui whānau, who have to go into rooms and spaces and places and people where they're just like not acknowledged or denied.
Well, imagine if you are acknowledged, but you're then judged about it. So you walk to the room, oh, we've got one, he's here today. We've got a rainbow, let's tick the box. Thank you for coming. Oh no, don't speak, don't talk. I've seen that before happen to people. We've got you here because you tick a box. And then I've done awards once where I had to go to a board meeting to meet directors for this event I was hosting. And it was all men, and they wanted to meet me first to see if what I was going to be like. And I turned up in one of my outfits, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. My agent's like, we're going to have a chat. I was like, great. I get there, got to shake the hands of. No. You just stay there. Imagine that. So you're here going, you've invited me to your place of work to talk to me about the event I'm putting on for you, just to make sure.
To be watched.
To be watched, to be looked at. So you're acknowledged, but you're also judged straight away. That happens on a daily as well.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking about our rohe of the tautoko. You were talking about that notion of isolation here in Aotearoa, but I can only imagine what it's like for whānau or moirua, whānau and Apanui. You know, how even more isolated those things would feel. And do you have similar experiences for our uri or Ngāpuhi or Te Tautoko for being part of the queer community, but also being raised into tautoko?
100%, yes. We are a tough crowd up here. We're a hard exterior, and I feel like we've got it very tough. And so when you've got it tough, and then you've got things like bills coming in, and then you've got not enough work coming in, and then you've got a child who just wants to be eccentric and colourful, and then you start questioning the child, and the child's growing up going, oh, I don't know if I can be myself, and then they come out as themselves, and there's all that pressure comes onto them. It's tough. But what I would say is that we are Māori first. We've got an umbrella of what it means to be Māori. We have all these atua we look at for strength. And some of that is about femininity and masculinity. Put them together, and if you've got one, you're like, oh, thank goodness, look at it that way. And it just makes things a little bit easier. I can't speak for everybody in our rohe to be like, you've got it good, you've got it hard. But I can speak from my own experience. Like we were not wealthy people. We were comfortable. My mum works hard. She worked hard as growing up and still works really hard. But we are a loud people, and we are a very boisterous kind of family where we will say things when, if it's wrong, we will hold people accountable. When it comes to my experience, though, I would say look at where you're from first. We come from a great leadership of ancestors. We've got great navigators within our whakapapa lineage. So if you look at that and go back up for Te Tautoko and go, gosh, and if you've got someone who is takatāpui, go, wow, you have come from a line of greatness. It's a cliche thing, but you come from a line of great. Why would you give up on that? Why would you say to someone, you can't be who you are because of your sexuality? Know what your identity is and where you come from, and it comes from a line of great. Know that first.
Yeah, and that another point around takatāpui tanga, if you want to call it, it didn't start in the 2000s.
No,
it's something that our tupuna did practice. They were part of. They had queer.
It was all part of. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I've always believed that. My grandmothers had always told me that, and I don't know why more other people don't get into that. They always think, oh, it's a word that we've created just to blend in. I'm like, no, it's like whawhawhine. It's been around. It's almost celebrated.
Roles in the village.
Correct. Yeah, it's a spiritual connection. It's only where colonization has really put a label on everything. I can't stand labels. I'm just not into it. Someone goes, oh, you dating him? I'm like, I'm not going to just tell you who I'm dating to give you a label and some satisfaction for your own feelings. No, I don't like the labels, because then as soon as you label something, you are it. It's like in politics. As soon as you label, you're with that, you're it. You don't have any other feelings towards anything else. So that word takatāpui, I really embrace it, because it doesn't just mean you're one thing or the other. It's encompassing of all. Anyone, I think, can be it. People go, oh, I'm not curious. I'm not curious about it. I'm just asking you a question. My gym is a prime example where I will question and challenge people's whakaaro on something because of their label system. They're like, oh, no, I'm not going to that because I'm not gay. I'm like, no one said you're gay. I'm not straight. I have a curiosity, though. It doesn't mean I'm going to jump into bed with one. You know what I mean? I am certainly curious. It's okay to be curious. Everyone's curious about something. But we've got this ideology that if you're curious, you're something. You're trying to create a label.
Dichotomy, like either one or the other. And touching on like all of this, the stuff the takatāpui, whānau and community have to manage. What are some of the coping mechanisms, especially for whānau who are kind of those dire mental health states and who are on the cusp of suicide or really struggling with it? What are the coping mechanisms whānau can use?
You know, I'm not a professor or a doctor, and I'm just talking from my own experience, but I would say if you're a whānau member and you know something is happening, or you've got that sense of feeling where you can be warming to someone, use it. Ask the question, are you okay? Or instead of asking, are you okay, maybe say to them, hey, are you free to have a chat? Or can I meet you for a coffee? Because anyone can text something or type something, say, yeah, I'm all good. If I ask you, how are you hear me? And you go, I'm good. I take that as face value.
It seems to be like a key theme coming through with a lot of our kōrero is like emotional availability, presence, and setting up regular comms with people, because you're right, it is a permission, because we're all moving through the demands of the world, the pressures of the world. We're just like, oh, cheer, bro, all good, yeah, all good, and we just leave it there. But I'm like, that may have been the last time we checked in on each other. That may have been the last interaction I've had with my mate, and because I was so pulled away by other things, I didn't have time to be like, no, you're actually not okay, and I know why.
Yeah,
boom, boom, boom.
I usually, when I message friends of mine to see like how they are, instead of me going, how are you on a text, I'll say it to your face, but on text I won't do that, because it is that typical, all good, yeah, no, I'm fine. Well, I will ask, what are you up to today? And then that gives them permission to then go, I'm doing this, what about you? And then you start having this kōrero backwards and forwards, and you start getting little things out of it, and it builds conversation. If you do that, you get more out of it. If you just put a little, how are you? It's a typical Kiwi thing, isn't it? We just go, I'm good.
Yeah, all good, bro.
All good, yeah.
Just check it to the side, because it's such a default thing.
Yeah, and as men, we don't like talking about feelings either. Whereas I'm like, I want to know your feelings. I've got my knife and fork and ready to go. Let's dig through them. Let's get into it. I'm that guy. Yeah.
And inside that, have you had whānau come to you seeking like help, support within the queer community around like, hey, I'm having dark thoughts. Hey, I'm having heavy feelings. What has that been a support you've provided?
That's not in that context, no. But I have had people say to me like, they've been bullied enough to feel like they're nothing, or they've had relationship breakdowns, or they won't go to events because they feel like they don't look a certain way. But I've been there myself, so that's why I find I find weird now that they come to me asking me for advice when I'm like, but I was that person, so I don't know if I'm the right person to ask. You know what I mean? But I will certainly, uffy them and talk them through it. When I won Mr. Bear this year, the big finale party is huge, and I'm there with my sash on, and I'm going around, and a lot of people are wearing not many clothes. It's a very body positivity event, and there was these two guys in the corner who are fully dressed, and at this event it's very uncommon to be fully clothed. So I went up to them, you guys okay? And they're like, yeah, we're good. And I'm like, is this your first time here? And they're like, how do you know? And I'm like, well, I know this person. I was so scared to come to anything. And so when you feel like you've been seen and someone resonates with you, that I think is a huge power. When you can go, I see you, I know exactly who you are, and I know what you're feeling right now. Let's work on it.
To be invited in, to be drawn into that.
Well, that's what a lot of our community want. Our takatāpui community just want to be invited, warming and welcoming. Like, again, imagine if you were on your marae and then you call, the kaikaranga's calling out, but then in her karanga she says, but none of you takatāpui.
Except you.
Except you.
Except you.
It doesn't happen, but imagine if that did. That happens on a daily in terms of society for some of my community, where they're just walking in a room and they're instantly judged. Or you look at an example of this it was last year, and I was at, I don't know if you know Karangahape Road well, but
K Road, baby.
K Road, that's the one. There's an infamous chicken and chip shop that's open till like 4 a.m. And so I was in there and I was wearing a sequin suit with a friend of mine, Johnny. We come from a gig, thought we'll go get some food. And this Polynesian Māori, not too sure, young, maybe in her early 20s, come past the window, and she was like, "Oh my god!" And so I was like, "Hi!" And she was like waving out, and then she was like, "Can I come in?" I was like, "Yeah, come in." And then I instantly thought, "Oh, okay, she's transitioning, or she's obviously part of the takatāpui whānau. Love it." And she said, "Oh, I didn't know if I could talk to you." And I said to her, "Why?" Like, she goes, "You're Luke Bird." I said, "Yeah." She goes. And she said this to me, which I was really taken back. She goes, "Oh, because you're a bougie Māori. Now, we do this in our own. You can be, so you're takatāpui, and now you're a bougie one, and you're Māori. So you're almost putting our own labels on each other." So I said to her, "What do you mean by that?" She goes, "I've watched you on TV, and I love your show, and you're this and that." I said, "Girl," I said, "if you can walk out of your house at 3 a.m, and being takatāpui, and you got a full glam on, and you're walking the streets, you're a hero. You've got to give yourself some own credit." And a lot of our whānau don't do that. We're waiting for others to give us that validation, or we're waiting for others to give us the praise and the credit to go, "I'm okay." Sometimes you actually have to give it to yourself, because if you're waiting, you can be waiting a very long time. And for that young person, and she talked about her transition, she is transitioning, for her to come to me and say, "Oh, you're this," I'm like, "But girl, I look at you and I go, wow, you're walking the street at 3 a.m. and you know that the risk of people is against you. You know people are going to come at you, but you have that that bravado and that excitement to go, you know what? Put a full face of glam on today. I'm going to wear my high heel, and I'm going to walk the street like I own it." That is a hero.
That's absolute strength, and we've touched on a few points in this corridor around the trans community, but also the violence experienced by the trans community. It's such a almost a niche approach, and like people, I find that those right wings, those embellished, overzealous, Christians can come in and think, because of that transition, because of their disconnection or ignorance of it, they have a permission to be violent towards them, to judge them, and to an actual physical violence in cases, and that's even at the greatest extreme around the homicides that happen inside the trans community. But you're right, it is such a strength. It is such a strength to make it into a transition, because that's also maybe you can talk on it. It's not just like, "Oh yeah, I woke up, I'm king."
No,
it's a whole process.
no. One of my very good friends, I won't give his name, but he's only 26 actually, but he's been transitioning since he was 14, and I've always known him as a man. Didn't know that he used to be a young girl, but his family always knew when he was even like 2 or 3, like growing up as a little girl, like, there's some nuances there. One of my very close friends, and she will be more than happy if I mention her name, TV director Ramon Te Wake from Panguru. Yeah. She's been in the TV industry for years. I've always known her as a wahine, and I used to stay with her, and I used to go to Auckland lots for work, and one day she opened the door and she was wearing a full bra and her knickers, and I was just like, "Oh my god, hi!" And then she's like, "Hey girl," and then she comes in, and always known her as this beautiful woman. And then as you get into talking to her, I said, "When did you start doing this?" She goes, "Oh," and I said, "Did you buy your breasts? Like, how much did they cost for you to get them done?" And she was like, "Honey, I've been on hormones since I was 14. I'm 44. And I'm like, "Oh," she goes, "I grew these myself." So sometimes you've got to have those ways to talk to people to feel comfortable with it, and then they feel comfortable talking to you back. But then they also know that they're going to get, there's the other side of the extremists where they're like, "You're gross because of what you are." And they didn't change who they are. They've always been who they are. Their exterior was different. So if you have the will to be able to change that, let them. What's the problem? Does it hurt you? Does it come out of your pocket?
It doesn't, and people try to pin it on violence against women in bathrooms, like all of these. But like there's the greatest threat to women is men. It's just men.
Hard out.
And without kind of breaking into that whole political discussion, but as kind of a wrap up for Tō Tāua Kōrero e te tuakana, words of advice for for rangatahi, for takatāpui community as a whole, of support, especially if they're going through hard times, especially if they're going through mental illness and all those things. And also to our whānau, words of advice to them as well.
These would be the things that I've always been taught by my mum and my grandmother, and do what you will. But see a puddle, make a splash is about taking the opportunity with people. So if you see someone that is something's happening with people that you don't feel right, stand up to it. Be there for them. You don't have to know them. Just be a good, decent human. Surround yourself with people whose eyes light up when you walk in the room. As soon as you walk in that room, absolutely, if the eyes go, there's Luke, yes, you know for a fact that you're safe with them, but they know when you walk in, they're going to be good with you. So always surround yourself with those kind of people. And the other one would be opportunity is like a visitor. You never know if they come back. So with that is one of my most poignant ones that I use all the time, purely because if you're in a whānau situation and you've got somebody who is going through some stuff, you're going through some stuff, there's an opportunity for people to go, are you okay? And if they don't use that opportunity, you may not come back. That whole thing could be gone. So always seize the moment with who you're with and what's your why.
Kia ora. Tēnā koe.
Oh, what an amazing experience this has been. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
E mihi ana kia koe, Luke, o tini whakaaro, o tini hua, hei kai, mākoe o tira hei kai, a mātiwi ka whakarongo. No, e mihi ana kia koe, ka hoki anō ki ngā kupu tawhito, ki ngā kupu karakia, kia kapi tēnei wānanga o tāua uia te pātai. No reira, wairea te rangi e tūnei, wairea te pātai.